CXOs. We are data consulting team 8, aka the last presenting team today. And we are reporting to your company, Pager, which is a startup in healthcare industry. So Pager landed a marketplace with the brand image of Uber to healthcare. What does that mean? Pager has two types of plans, doctors and patients. And Pagers bring patients to doctors by making and optimizing their appointments. So with the further expansion, the more features Pager also offers to the users, including telephone call and video chat. And Pager's market growth is majorly depends on network effects, which works very well at the early stage. But with the later expansion, the market is also limited by network effects. What that means is majorly due to Pager's scalability do not have the power to gain more, to support more doctors and patients. And Pager is currently located in New York City and only offers service to 4 states within United States, which are New York, New Jersey, Florida, and Texas. So Pager wants to grow, but the problem is the company's data structure do not have the right amount of scalability to support its expansion.
So how do we do this? We need to create a data strategy, and we need to do it quickly before we grow out of hand. The immediate downside of not having a data strategy that's sufficient for our business model is the inflated storage costs. The eventual downside, if we don't get one, is if we at any point need to restructure our database, then we have potential downside and we have even more extensive costs. So we're going to structure this data strategy after SAS Institute's guide or preferred methods, let's call it that. They have 5 things we need to identify. First, we need to identify the data we need to store, we need to provision it, we need to process it, and then we need to govern it. And overall, the way we're going to do this in the end is with a centralized system using NoSQL database for analysis and with a hybrid organizational structure. And now that we have the data that we need to collect, we need to store it, and we're doing that in a centralized system, as I said, meaning we're taking the internal information we have from the app, and we're taking the external applications, that could be social media, that could be support information, it could be ads. We're taking the business partners, which are the clinics or the hospitals, and then we're taking external providers, such as data vendors or syndicated data, and putting all of that on our own centralized data center. Afterwards, if you go to the next, we need to provision this data. That means packages so we can reuse it and share it as we need. Then we need to process this data. That means we combine it into this disparate system where we have access to it and we know how to distribute it. How do we then, if you go to the next, how do we then do this? We need to establish, manage, and communicate this information to our two-sided platform. We have a network effect system, meaning there's clinics on one side and there's users on the other side. We need to make sure that the data quality of our database is clean enough that we can keep all the data in our centralized system and still send out the data we need to the clinic solution and the data we need out to the client solution, depending on what they have for needs and expectations. Go to the next slide. We found a company that did just that and have great success. They're called MedSet. And what MedSet what MedSet did that was so brilliant is they solved this networking effect issue by leveraging the data that they could collect about the clients and helping the hospitals and thereby the doctors knowing more about how they could run their business and improve their customer experience as well. So it became a two-way beneficial agreement between the hospitals and MedSet. Pager can do the exact same thing. You need to go back. Pager can do the exact same thing. Here we have the selling points that Pager and MedSet currently have in common. And over here we have all of the different data points that MedSet is using to leverage their data importance and value to the hospitals. And these are let's call them the data points that Pager needs to mimic in order to have the same success and thereby get more doctors onto our platform so we can continue our growth.
Okay, so at the same time, we want to change the data culture. So the data culture you have right now is decentralized. They have different business units, and they have 4 different states they're selling to right now. So they have a sales and marketing team for each of those states. And for those 4 different sales and marketing teams, each of them have their own data analyst sitting in each of the corners. So they don't talk together and they don't share any information. So what we want to do is make a hybrid data culture where those data analysts are talking together so they can share information and approaches, because these 4 different states have different regulations. It's much more easier to get one clinic in one state compared to another state. So they have to talk together and share information and knowledge. And next, there are some resources that are required to make or build this data culture. The first one is that we want to build the data, or we want to implement Google Cloud Platform. The second one is talent. So we have a few data engineers right now, but we're not sure yet if they can actually build this centralized database that we want. And data analysts, so we have those 4 data analysts right now, but we have to make sure that these 4 data analysts have the right skill sets and knowledge to be in this culture. And finally, we need to make sure that we have the right data storage. Yes. So we have some key success matrix and timelines. So within the first 3 months, we want to build this hybrid analytics team instead of this decentralized data culture. This will increase the traffic to the app with 10%. And why 10%? Because when they're talking together, they can share information, as I said before. So in that case, we believe that they'll be able to increase the traffic. And within 6 months, they have to develop the centralized database instead of the decentralized database, with a total cost of ownership below $500,000. And within 9 months, we have more doctors on this platform, with an increase of 15%, which is due to the hybrid analytics team and the developed centralized database, because it's easier now to get information, get access to information, analyze information, make results out of those information and data. And finally, within 1 year, we have expanded to 2 new states, which has increased the revenue with 20%. There are certain risks with this. So we have 5. One of the biggest ones is data transfer. So when we are transferring data from the decentralized database to the centralized database, there might be some data that will be lost in that transaction, or the quality might change. The second one is unqualified talent. So again, we have to make sure that the data engineers and data analysts have the right skill sets and knowledge to actually build this centralized database and at the same time build this new data culture. First, there might be some down times with the Google Cloud Platform. It happens like never, so we don't assume that will happen. But if it will happen, we could lose some clients and patients while it's down. Fourth, data breaches. So this is personal information. So if a patient is going to talk to a nurse, they'll say in this chat, I'm feeling sick because of this, and this is my numbers and all this. So we have to make sure that the security is right, so we don't run into any data breaches, because that can ultimately bring the company down. And lastly, scaling too fast. So as Jonas said, we have this networking effect where we have the patients on one side and we have the clinics on the other side. The problem is, like, if we're scaling the clinics too fast, then we'll have too many doctors in the platform, and we will not have we will have less patients. So if the doctors don't have access to patients, they'll just leave the platform. And at the same time, if we have too many patients, but we don't have any doctors, then the patient will just leave because there are no doctors in the platform. So we have to scale at the same time, both the ends of this networking effect. So to conclude, the problem was that the company's current data structure limits its ability to expand to new states. And our solution to that is a centralized database, so that these data analysts can easily get access to information and make analysis with this data. And at the same time, we want to make this hybrid analytics team build a culture around that. And to conclude, so we're asking for $500,000 for the total cost of ownership, and we expect additionally $500,000 in salary for the first year for those new data engineers and analysts. Thanks.
Questions? No one? Okay. All right.
having a centralized system?
Because the amount of data and also the combination of the kind of data that you can pull in. Any thoughts on security implications that you need to?
It's definitely a huge priority, and we have assumptions. If you go to the assumption page, but I can't see anything here. Okay, I got it. Here we go. One of our main assumptions is that we already now have the required, you can see it down here, and we're familiar with the different regulations. It's very, very important because we are working in healthcare and we are a smartphone application, and when we centralize everything, we do become a bigger target because we are no longer covered under, say, a cloud platform's infamous data security. Say we were on Amazon's web services, for instance. Nobody's expecting that to get hacked anytime soon. And I'm not saying that we can't have a similar level of security, but it's definitely, we're choosing to do this instead because of the added benefits. But one of the downsides is we are sacrificing maybe a little bit in security, hypothetically, if we get hacked. But predicting breaches is really hard, and at the moment, we did raise $40 million, so we do have the capital to invest in these things, and a centralized system is going to be better for the company in the long run, especially if we want to produce a product that we can scale at a nationwide scale.
Okay. Makes sense. Good.